Oh, goodness. Let's let everybody in. Admit all, and admit all. I'm letting everybody in. That's a good thing about y'all only y'all having the links. I know that if you have the links, you're good. We will not be Zoom bombed again. I'm still traumatized about that. I just want you to know. Okay. So let me get rid of the last meeting stuff. I'm so glad each of you are here. And I've got your stuff ready to go here. So please I'm going to remind you, I'm working two different study groups, one at work and one here. We're starting chapter 4 today. Is that correct? Did we talk about
No.
chapter 4? Or are we still on chapter 3?
Chapter
3?
one.
Chapter.
You told us.
Chapter 1.
I believe we're still on chapter 3.
Chapter.
Yes, chapter
Wait,
3,
chapter
and
3.
then
Okay, well, yeah.
Okay.
and then you,
I didn't mean to freak you out. I'm so sorry. Okay, knowledge area 1, which is chapter 3. I just wanted to pull up the right one. I'm sorry, Kasi. I just want to see if your blood was flowing.
Yeah, even I'm sorry, dear. I thought you mean knowledge area 3. I'm like, wait.
you
Okay.
did tell us to review the techniques at the back of the book
Yeah.
too.
Okay, let me get it there. So we are in business analysis, planning, and monitoring, correct? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Because we've gone through it at least once, I'm not going to show you the names of the different tasks. I'm hoping that you will, I know, but you got to stretch. This is part of that stretching to be sure that you're learning what they are. There's 5 of them. I bet you if you close your eyes, you can get at least 3 of them. So let me share my screen.
Dear, can I ask a quick question before we start, please?
Please ask your question.
Yeah, I think you mentioned last week about the books. I just want to make sure if you have any update.
Has anyone received your watermark book yet?
No,
No.
Okay.
haven't.
No.
Okay. So this is the first time we've placed an order with Watermark. And I kind of assumed that they would treat us the same way they have treated the other people who have been ordering with them forever. And
Okay.
so I think that there's a little delay because they're waiting for our payment, which is fine because we have the money. It's just I had to get our finance person to pay them. So they're being paid. You should receive them within a week. I'm sorry there's been a delay, but I'm not real concerned because even though they're very useful, they're full of good information. It's not until we hit probably chapter 4, at least chapter 5 for sure, that you're really going to see the value in them. So not having them now doesn't really concern me. I apologize that there was a delay. Had we had this where you registered a month early, I would have expected you to have the books before we started. But we kind of registered and said, okay, we're going to order the books when we figure out who's registering. And we started the course right away because I got excited about teaching you.
No,
Okay.
it's fine. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so I'm going to read the question. We're going to talk about which task it is. Let me open the, this is what I'm looking at. And if you look at, here's list 1, you're going to see, here's just the tasks. If you want to have that open on the side, I don't have a problem with you looking at it if you need to. Okay. I never want you to feel like you hit a rock that you can't go over, but it's right there in task 1 if you want to, or you can open the task and see all of the different information, but that might be too much for you at one time. So list 1, set it off to the side so it's not distracting to me. Here's the first question. Paige works in the IT department for a financial institution. She may be needed to provide approval for aspects of the business analysis approach, especially in organizations where the business analysis process is audited. Here's a key. She may also require that specific stakeholder representatives or groups be involved in the business analysis activities. What type of stakeholder is Paige? So what task are we on?
Stakeholder plan.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Sorry,
Stakeholder.
a stakeholder plan.
I can hear stakeholder and then the second word cuts off.
Plan?
Plan. Okay. Do we all agree with that?
Sounds legit.
Okay, we'll test it. So if she wants to have, she is supposed to provide approval especially where the process is audited, and she may also require that specific stakeholder representatives or groups be involved. So is she a sponsor, an executive board, project manager, or regulator? Which one can we eliminate?
Eliminate sponsor and regulator for me.
Regulator.
I think personally I will keep D. And the reason behind it is referring to approval and audit.
Okay. So let's back up a little bit. We have a list of standard stakeholders in the BABOK.
Mhm.
Executive board is not going to be on that list, is it?
No.
No.
So we know sponsor, project manager, and regulator are on the list. So we know we can eliminate this one. And I hear regulator. Is that what we think is the answer? Is that the role of the regulator?
I don't think that is the answer. I think it's a project manager is the answer.
Okay, I've got to vote for regulator, or vote for project manager. Can I get somebody break the tie?
I'd say
vote
regulator.
Regulator, yeah.
Regulator.
Okay, let's test it. When the BA process is audited, a regulator may need to provide approval for the aspects of the BA approach that are tailored. They may also require that certain stakeholders be involved in BA activities. What kind of stakeholders would be involved in BA activities because the regulator says that they should be? I mean, the regulator can say, I want to be involved in a stakeholder and as a stakeholder, but I've never asked myself that question before. What if they said you have to have somebody that's involved in safety, you know, the OSHA people or something like that? I guess that could be the kind of stakeholders that they would say you have to be involved.
I
Is that-
actually had that happen today. We're doing a project where we're having a new financial, like, so people can do credit cards and make utilities payments online. And I
Mhm.
told the BA running that project to contact the auditor, because I know anytime we take money, it gets audited annually, to just see what their needs would be for reporting and stuff like that after. Now, I gave them the name of the auditor, and the auditor might say, hey, go talk to fiscal or finance. So
Right.
that might actually be the case. But I only thought of it because I was reading the BABOK this morning. And I'm like, oh, I got to tell Austin to look at the auditor, the comptroller.
Yeah.
You're right. I'm so excited that this course made you a better BA. Look at that. And it made your project better. Look at us. We're so good. So the regulator's job, they can provide approval for aspects of business analysis approach, especially whenever things are going to be audited. And then they can also require specific stakeholders to be involved. A business analysis intern wants to be able to make trade-offs between requirements, identify stakeholders affected by potential changes, and understand the effect of potential change. Where would you advise the intern look for this information? So they want to make trade-offs. I don't think this is a specific task unless it's in the planned business analysis information management. Let's go on to the answers. Would it
Okay.
be traceability document, business policies document, requirements, attributes, or repository?
I don't know what trade-off means.
Yeah.
In this case, I believe it's this. We've got a project with 5 features, and I want to take this feature and move it up in priority. And so if I'm going to move this up, that means the one that's on top is going to move down, and then it's going to change everything that we're planning on doing. For instance,
I
I've got to
would say
create a website and it's going to be attached to a database. If we say we're going to create the website first and the database second, it's going to be a trade-off between those two things.
See?
I would say C,
Yeah.
traceability or requirements attributes. Yeah.
Okay. Let's test it. Requirement attributes allow the BAs to associate information with the individual or related groups of requirements. In this case, requirements attributes, what it's talking about is the requirements attributes document. The document that says, here's the business need. This is the requirements, you know, the 5 things that come out of that business need. Here is my source. Who gave it to me? When did they give it to me? What is the acceptance criteria? I mean, anything that you can do. But if you put that in columns, and I know that there are other tools, but I honestly like to start with an Excel spreadsheet, put it in columns so you can say, tell me everything Bob gave me. You know, if Bob is changing, or tell me things, you know, that were given to me in this meeting. I can see all the things that came from that meeting. So you can organize it in different ways, especially if you understand Excel using filters and things like that. So that's the attributes it's talking about. Where did you get it? Who gave it to you? What risks are associated with it? All of the different attributes. As a business analyst, you're in the process of documenting the overall method that will be followed when performing business analysis work on a given initiative. You have considered several possible approaches. You now want to determine the optimal business approach to use for this initiative. Which guideline would you utilize? The optimal business approach. So what task are you in?
The planning,
Uh,
plan business analysis approach.
since Ford will start with planning, I can't say planning and know which one
Yeah.
you mean. So
Yeah.
I just say plan approach, and
Yeah.
okay. So, which guideline would you utilize? Would it be the organizational centers of excellence, your business policies, methodologies and frameworks, or expert judgment? You want to determine the optimal business approach to use for this initiative.
C.
I agree.
You agree with C?
Y'all think it's C?
Think so.
Okay, I didn't hear C. I heard I agree, and it's like, okay, it's one of these.
Oh, shoot. Expert
okay.
judgment. Oh, okay.
Expert judgment will help in determining the optimal
Well, they're
approach for the
both in-
planned business analysis approach task. This will serve to shape the approach, but will not provide the optimal approach.
Okay.
That was it.
It's in the same
So in
one.
this case, expert judgment is what's been tried before at this organization. What's the outcome? What's the lessons learned?
Lessons learned. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what you get. And then you can determine your optimal approach. Guidelines and tools included in the planned business analysis governance task include which of the following? So we know which task we're in. I call this governance just so I don't have to say all the words. Business analysis performance assessment, business policies, current state description. Business analysis performance assessment, change strategies, current state description, legal and regulatory information. Business analysis performance assessment, business policies, change strategy, current state description, legal and regulatory information. And business analysis performance assessment, business policies, current state description, legal and regulatory information. So is legal and regulatory information in the guidelines and tools for this task?
Yes.
Okay, that means we can eliminate A. Okay, these two have change strategy. This one doesn't. Is change strategy part of it? Okay, that means we can eliminate this one. Let's see. Current state description is in both of these. Legal and regulatory information is both of them. This one has business policies added. Is business policies part of this list?
I
When
think
you're
so.
I think
talking
so.
about governance, would you consider your business policies?
Yes.
Let's test it.
Ah,
Okay,
the last one. Current
business
state
analysis,
change.
performance assessment, business policies, current state description, and legal and regulatory information.
Change strategy isn't in there. Yeah.
Change strategy is not in there. Whenever you're talking about governance, it's weird because in governance, you're identifying who gets to make decisions about change, but you're not talking about the change strategy itself. You see where it's hard?
Mhm.
Okay, some of y'all have expressions on your face like I'm losing you. Are you doing okay?
Where do you, what task does the change strategy? Is that plan the business?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Where would the change strategy fall? Is that not a thing?
It is a
It
thing.
is.
Let's look at this spreadsheet. So whenever you're talking about your elements, you got your change control process, but it doesn't have change strategy as one of your guidelines and tools, is what it was asking.
It's under the business performance analysis, performance improvements.
But
3.5.
this question was about the business analysis task.
Governance. Yeah.
So you don't have change strategy right here is what it was asking about. It is change control processes over here in elements, but you don't have change strategy in your guidelines and tools.
Okay.
Okay. All right, let's keep moving forward. This is just identifying areas that we can improve on. But so grab your BABOK and mark 3.3.5 and be sure that if you weren't strong on this, if you weren't confident in the answer and the right answer, that you know to study it. Right, Aaron?
Correct.
I know it's getting late, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm going to do my best to keep you engaged. Samira has been engaged as a business analyst on a railway track design project for monorail in Toronto, Canada. She's currently planning for the approaches she will take to perform various business analysis activities. What is a key driving factor when considering the business analysis approach selection? So we know that we're in plan approach. They want a key driving factor. Would it be, according to the BABOK, the business need for the project, stakeholders' preferred approach, organizational standards for business analysis, project specification standards for business analysis? Can we eliminate any of those? Robin, I couldn't hear you, and according to the transcription, it says you said thank you, and I don't think that's true.
No, I did not say thank you.
Okay,
I was thinking
I think it's
stakeholder
C.
one to remove.
Yeah. I think the answer
It's
is
C?
C.
You think?
Okay, let's test C.
Yeah, business need for the project. Yeah.
Because need is
the
the
business
input
need.
for the business planning approach.
Right.
Yep, it's input, very good. It's necessary what is known about the need at the time of planning. So this is at the very beginning of your project. You know, how do you figure out how you're going to move forward? You've got to figure out what your goal is. It's almost like you're on a map and I'm here and I've got to move over there. So this is my approach going to be. If you don't know where you are and you don't know where you're moving to, you can't figure out your need. Need is critical in this one. Okay. As for organizational standards for the business, it's necessary to consider what's known for the need. It may be defined by methodology or organizational standards, but if you don't have your need, this one, plan business approach, the only input is needs. Okay. You have been hired as a business analyst for an initiative. The project manager informs you that your first task is to figure out what needs to be done, how you will go about doing it, as well as exactly who needs to be involved in the work and how involved they should be. Which deliverable will you provide to the project manager as a result of these activities? First of all, project managers are rarely going to give you this kind of instruction, but in the BABOK world, they might, I guess. The deliverable. So this is a artifact or a document that you're going to provide to them with this information. Would it be your requirement management approach, information management approach, governance approach, or business analysis approach? What would these things be in?
D.
D.
Okay.
Oh, no, I said D, but
Oh, I'm sorry. You
D.
said
Yeah,
D?
yeah.
D is
Oh,
in
yeah,
dog.
look at that. It's right. The business
Yeah.
analysis approach identifies activities that will be performed across an initiative, including who will perform them, the timing and sequencing of the work, the deliverables that will be produced, and the business analysis techniques that may be utilized. You're not committing to utilizing those specific techniques. It's like, this is my idea. Let's get in
Mhm.
there and see, let me learn more about my stakeholders as I move along. You may find out that they will not do a workshop, or you may find out that you need to do a workshop. Depends. What are the inputs of the planned business analysis governance task? So we know what task it is. We know it's only inputs. Let's see how we're doing. Is it needs and business analysis approach? Business analysis approach and performance objectives external, or business analysis approach and stakeholder engagement approach? Y'all remember?
D. D. I think
Let's
it's
say D as in dog.
Yeah.
These are the two stated inputs for the planned business analysis governance task. Good job. And thank you for saying D as in dog, because that way I'm not hearing, B's and D's sounding alike. Which of the following would you consider when searching for external stakeholders? So if you're searching for external stakeholders, you're planning your
Maybe
stakeholder engagement,
project
right?
charter, maybe.
So which would you consider? Would it be stakeholders influence, project charter, and end users? I heard project charter.
I will say A, and the only reason why I'm saying A is that I believe you can eliminate C and D. And
Why can we eliminate C and D?
because I didn't see that project charter in the BABOK, and the user might be more like on the internal side. So
Okay.
I'm kind of left with A and B.
Okay.
Project
And
charter may have a paragraph describing stakeholders, and I would look there. That's my considerations.
Okay. Remember, we're
It's
looking for external
External
stakeholders.
stakeholders, yeah.
Who is the source for external stakeholders? The sentence in the BABOK.
Project charter.
um,
You said who or what is the source, Thea? Thea, what was your question again, please?
Whenever
Which of the
when
following?
you're searching for external stakeholders, which of the following would you consider?
And users can also be external stakeholders.
Yeah, they can be. End users can be external stakeholders.
I say C,
Let's
project
test end
charter.
users.
Oh, he was right.
Okay.
Shareholders.
Lassie, you were right. Look at you.
Good job.
Shareholders, along with governing bodies, existing contracts, anticipated vendors, customers, and suppliers will help you identify external stakeholders. And Irina, I think it was you that said not all end users are external customers. Somebody said they were internal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're getting it. You're getting it. Welcome, Stephen.
Okay.
Welcome, everyone.
Hi.
I'm sorry, I didn't see y'all in the waiting room. I got excited about this screen. I forgot that screen. Which business analysis role is involved in all tasks performed to organize and coordinate the efforts of the business analysts and stakeholders? So it's the role. Is it the domain subject matter expert, the regulator, supplier, or project manager?
Project manage.
So
Project manager.
I would say
D as
D,
in
project
DP.
manager.
Yes.
Okay.
D is in dog.
The PM is
That's
not
wrong.
involved in this. It's the point C.
Oh,
When
Shoot.
we're talking
I
about
read
the
that
planning-
earlier too.
Wait a
God dang
minute.
it.
Yes, business analysis, planning, and monitoring is not the chapter we're in.
Oh. Nice.
Wait a minute. Let me do a search here real quick. I think I'm getting myself confused. Business analysis, planning, and monitoring. Yes. That's why this is all of the entire chapter. BABOK 3.0. I'm sorry. Yes, 3.0.
So I guess
Okay.
the keyword is all tasks.
All
Yeah.
tasks. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a good hint. Which of the following statements accurately describes stakeholders who would be engaged in the planned planned stakeholder engagement task? So this is the task we're in. Stakeholders who would be engaged, would it be both customers and end users are sources of external stakeholders? A supplier is a source of internal stakeholders, while a customer is a source of external stakeholders. A customer is a source of external stakeholders, while an end user is a source of internal stakeholders. A supplier is a source of internal stakeholders, while an end user is a source of external stakeholders. It's a question, it's a sentence in the BABOK.
B as in boy.
I got one vote for B.
I'm gonna vote for
I'm gonna
C.
I'm going to vote for C.
Yeah, I might be
Okay.
wrong.
I got 2 votes for C.
I would-
Let's just see.
Yeah.
Between B and C.
I
End
would say
user is a
C.
term which
Yep.
typically describes internal stakeholders, while customer typically describes the external stakeholders. So this is straight out of the BABOK 3.2.7. Point 7 is always talks about the roles, and it will outline what the role of this stakeholder is in this task. Which of the following statements is associated with a predictive approach? Predictive is another word for
Waterfall.
waterfall. That's right. And if we're talking approaches, we know that we're in planned business analysis approach. Formal documentation is often produced after the solution is implemented to facilitate knowledge transfer. This approach tends to be preferred when taking an exploratory approach. This approach tends to be preferred when requirements can be effectively defined prior to implementation, or requirements are oftentimes limited to a prioritized list.
C.
B is in boy.
C. C.
A
C.
apple.
Let's say C.
A, C.
Got
C.
A and C.
No, it's a not because documentation is produced after the solution is implemented. No, waterfall is the first document, then implement.
Okay,
So C.
let's
Okay, C.
test C
C.
and see what we get.
Yeah.
This approach tends to be preferred in situations where requirements can be effectively be defined ahead of implementation. The risk
Yep.
of an incorrect implementation is unacceptably high, or when engaging stakeholders present a significant challenge. Let's look at A. This is true of adaptive approach, which focuses more on speed to market. Let's talk about C one more time. When engaging stakeholders presents a significant challenge. According to the BABOK, if you've got critical stakeholders who would not be available to be engaged in your agile approaches, they can't engage on a consistent basis, you might
Right.
consider this the waterfall approach instead. If I can get you for 2 weeks, but I can't get you for the next 6 months, for that 2 weeks, I want to gather all the requirements I can. Does it make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Which of the following statements is accurate about the planned business analysis information management task? So we know what task we're in. Information management entails identifying characteristics about the information that must be reused. The tool that is given to manage information only needs to store the requirements and designs. Requirements that are potential candidates for long-term use are those an organization must meet on an ongoing basis, or the purpose of this task is to ensure that requirements are accurate and current throughout the life cycle and facilitate reuse where appropriate.
D.
I would say D as in dog.
I would
Okay.
say C actually.
C.
Okay, let's talk about why we like D more than C, Aaron.
So because like even a whiteboard can be a place
Right.
for requirements.
Tool is
So it's
chosen
whatever
to-
meets the life cycle and reuse where appropriate.
I think I'm changing my mind now, yeah. But I probably shouldn't.
And the reason why I choose C is I believe the purpose for that specific task is to see how the information is stored and accessed. So that's kind of what led me to choose C.
Storage and access is one of the elements in this one as well. So I've got several votes for C and several votes for D. Let's test C. Let's see what happens. Examples of these include regulatory requirements, quality standards, service level agreements, and contractual obligations. Let's test D. This is the purpose of the maintain requirements task, not the plan business analysis information management task. So they were giving us something that we would have read. It's just not in the task that is identifying up there. Kasi, your reasoning on this is spot on. Please have the confidence.
Thank
Okay,
you.
when is monitoring and controlling the progress and performance of the business analysis work and planning improvement processes where required? Which of the following guidelines would be beneficial for Gwen in this case? She's monitoring and controlling the process and performance of business analysis work. So what is she doing? Which task is that?
Performance analysis.
Performance improvement.
Performance improvement.
Yeah.
Yep.
So which of the following guidelines would be beneficial for her? Would it be legal and regulatory information, organizational performance standards, business policies, or accuracy and completeness? There's only one guideline in this task.
B as in boy.
This is the only stated guideline or tool for the Identify Business Analysis Performance Improvement task, which is the task in question. These standards may include performance metrics or expectations for business analysis work. So this is organizational performance standards. If you have a center of excellence, if you have a PMI, project management office, if you have something like that, they may say business analysts must do these things. So you need to check those as guidelines. It's not that they necessarily will dictate your work, and sometimes they may not even be applicable to your work, but you need to know what they are. It's like knowing the rules of the playground. Business analysis performance assessments help identify opportunities for future improvement. For maximum benefit, when should the performance analysis occur? So we're doing performance analysis, so we're in the performance improvement task, right? Should they occur, according to the BABOK, during retrospectives, when carrying out closing processes, throughout the life cycles of an initiative, or at the beginning of every sprint? What does the BABOK say?
I want to say C.
We've got one vote for C.
Maybe retrospective, A.
You like A? Okay, I've got an A and a C. I need a tiebreaker.
I'll go at C.
Okay, 2 votes for C. Let's test it. Performance and analysis should occur throughout the initiative. Don't wait until the retrospectives. Don't wait for the beginning of the sprints. Basically what it is you need to be checking what's the impact of my work. Am I missing anything at all times? And then make course corrections as you need to, so that this project receives the benefit of your lessons learned, and don't wait to the next sprint or the next project. You're conducting a thorough stakeholder analysis to analyze and understand their needs. Which of the following factors would you consider? If you're doing a stakeholder analysis, what task are you in?
Plan stakeholder
Yeah. And
engagement.
engagement. Yep.
Engagement, right. So would it be perform stakeholder analysis, define stakeholder collaboration business needs, perform stakeholder analysis, define collaboration, define stakeholder authority level, perform stakeholder analysis, define stakeholder collaboration, stakeholder communication needs, or perform stakeholder analysis, define stakeholder governance, stakeholder communication needs.
I say D.
I say C.
Okay, I've got a C and a D.
I'd lean towards C2 because I'm just thinking governance comes after stakeholder engagement.
Okay, let's test it. These are all stated elements. Now I want to show this to you. Let's see if it'll. Here is exactly what we're talking about. It's asking for the elements here. If you know what elements are attached to that task, it's like you're being given the answer. Perform stakeholder analysis, define stakeholder collaboration, stakeholder communication needs. Am I in the right one? Stakeholder analysis, yes.
Yep.
So this is what it's asking for. That's why I really wanted you to pay attention to this spreadsheet. Okay. In order to assess business analysis work and plan for improvements where required, it is important to consider the benefits obtained and assess whether the cost, time, and resource investments are justifiable. What assessment measures does this describe? So we're doing the assess business analysis work and plan for improvements. So it's actually
Improvement.
performance improvements. That's right.
Yep.
And it gives us this list. Consider the benefits obtained, assess cost, time, resource investments. The list is it strategic, effectiveness, timeliness, or significance?
I would say
Say strategic.
Bravo. Effectiveness.
yeah, it's either A or B.
Okay, let's try
Which is
B.
it, Robin?
I don't know. It's
got it.
neither.
Wow.
Significance considers whether an investment expended to produce the work was justified. Significance and justified needs to be the same in your mind for the
Okay.
value that they delivered. So benefits obtained, assess the work, consider the benefits obtained, assess whether the cost, time, and resource investments were justified. That's significance. I promise you get these wrong enough times and it hurts, you won't get them wrong ever again. It's like it drills it into you, right? Effectiveness evaluates whether the business analysis work products were easy to use and understand. So you think in your mind, it's a survey that you send out to your users, your stakeholders, and say, whenever I sent you products, were they easy to understand without you asking for instruction or guidance or a breakdown? Could you do it on your own? That's effectiveness. Did I do my job effectively? Is the way I like to think of it. Significance is, was it worth it?
Mhm.
Significance is like value.
Let's go ahead and do strategic while we're here. This measure evaluates whether the business objectives were met, my strategy, did I meet my objectives? And then timeliness. Timeliness evaluates whether work was delivered on time as per stakeholders' expectations and schedule.
Yeah.
This is a big part of setting proper expectations, never letting them be surprised. That's timeliness.
Yep.
Okay, let's move on. Which statement best describes the planned business analysis approach task? So it wants a description of the task. Planning analysis work from selection of a methodology to use to planning the individual activities, tasks, and deliverables. The timing and sequencing of the work, the deliverables that will be produced, techniques and tools that may be utilized, and guidelines that may be followed. Ensuring the governance process, approvals, and prioritization of requirements and designs are in place, or identifying the activities required to complete each deliverable and then breaking each deliverable activity into tasks. So for the plan business analysis approach, can we eliminate any of these? Are they talking about maybe a different task?
Maybe governance C to eliminate, Charlie. Because
Yeah.
governance comes after
Yeah, this is about the governance task,
planning.
it's not about this task.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we can eliminate C.
This describes the work breakdown structure or decomposition, identifying the
Yeah,
activities
WBS.
required
Also-
to complete each and breaking them down into tasks. So these two we can eliminate.
Maybe A from
was
selection of
gonna say
methodology.
B.
I'd lean towards B.
I was gonna
That
say
language
B.
sounds more like the
Yeah,
I like A because it mentions the methodology, and that's a.
that's
Yeah,
true.
methodology
That's
to
the other
use.
thing. It
I
kind
know
of.
that's a thing.
And planning individual activities. So
Yeah.
tasks
Okay,
and
let's
deliverables.
test A. We'll see what we get. This
Yep.
describes the most
Methodologies,
complete
yep.
definition as the emphasis is on planning the business analysis approach. Let's look at B. The emphasis in the question is on the planning of the BA approach versus the work
The work
itself.
itself. Yeah.
This is talking about the work. This is the planning. Y'all's logic and your reasoning on this is wonderful. A business analyst wants to assess the business analysis work and plan improvement processes where necessary, which tasks should be completed before attempting this activity. So assess the business analysis work and plan improvement process. That's in the performance improvements.
Yep.
So before you get to performance improvements, to do the assessment, which task should you do? And this is performance analysis, plan business analysis, information management, plan business analysis approach, or plan business analysis governance.
Performance analysis, A.
I would say B.
I would say B.
Okay, so Irina, what do you think, A?
Because if we plan improvements, so planning is much ahead of that, yeah. Then we make analysis of performance and then plan improvements. So these are my logical steps. So that's why I choose A. So
Okay,
we plan
and-
ahead, then we analyze, and then we improve. So it's
I understand your reasoning. Okay, those of you who said B, why do you think it's B?
That's the step before
Yeah, and also
planning the
out of
process. improvement.
So this one is the 5th task, this one is the 4th task. Is that what I'm hearing?
yes, and also out of the 4, only 3 of them are actually tasks. So we know that it's not C and D. So he left me with a B.
Okay, let's test B, see what we get. The
C.
purpose
Wow.
of this task is to develop the approach of how business analysis information will be stored and accessed, with the output being information management approach. Plan business analysis approach, the output is going to feed into this one.
Okay.
So the output of plan business analysis approach is, the screen is too small here, is the business analysis approach 3.1. 3.1 feeds into 3.5 business analysis approach. It is the only one that feeds into it. That is one of the task results. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger.
Yep, I
So,
see it.
so it's right here. So you have to do that one. So the output is here. So you can begin this one. But Irina, I agree with your logic that you have to do an analysis, but without the approach, you don't have anything to measure against.
Ah, okay. Just its
Yeah.
plan sounded confusing a little bit for me. Yeah, but I get the point.
It is confusing for all of us. It's almost like we have to learn another language, and if English isn't your first language, you get to learn 2 languages at the same time. But y'all are doing just fine. I had to go through and go, wait, but it said task. That was my key. What was the purpose of conducting a thorough stakeholder analysis? Why do we want to conduct a thorough stakeholder analysis? What's the purpose? Is it stakeholder analysis is an input into stakeholder management, to create a stakeholder register, to plan, establish, and maintain an effective working relationship with stakeholders, or it will be required when documenting stakeholder engagement package? Which one is right?
Charlie.
I
Charlie.
would say C.
See,
You like C?
Sounds nicer.
Stakeholder
nicer.
analysis are included in this task of planned stakeholder engagement. This is a stated purpose of that task. So what is the purpose? It's a stated purpose. Which deliverable is the main output of the planned stakeholder engagement task? So deliverable, output of this task. Is it the stakeholder analysis, the communication approach to be utilized with identified stakeholders, stakeholder engagement approach, or stakeholder register? Do y'all remember what the output is?
C, the engagement
C.
approach.
Yeah.
These and
Stakeholder engagement approach, you're saying C. Okay.
Charlie.
Yep.
Sometimes it's that easy. Look at that.
It's the same. Yeah.
It's
Same wording.
It's like,
Yeah.
can it really be that easy? Yeah, it is. As a business analyst, the types of activities that you will perform are documented in the business analysis approach. The prescribed activities may be influenced by which one of the following. Is it the business analyst knowledge, organizational methodologies, stakeholders, or techniques used? What does the BABOK say? The types of activities that you will perform.
Alpha, A.
I would say A. Ah,
The BABOK states that the organization's adopted methodologies frequently influence the business analysis activities. You know, going back to what the PM PM office,
PMO. Yeah.
the what they say you have to do, that's what it's talking about. Our knowledge, our level of knowledge may influence the selection of activities, but is not the stated influence of the BABOK.
I only said that because I thought I read that someplace.
Same here.
Not necessarily with this, in this context. I just thought that someplace it said that the BA's knowledge mattered for something.
It does matter. It does matter, but
I just can't remember where it specifically said that.
You'll keep reading and keep learning the voice of the BABOK, and it will get more and more clear. I promise. Don't beat up yourself about it. All the following are approaches for dealing with risks, except which of the following? So if we're talking about risk, which task is it?
D,
transcend.
delta. Yeah.
Yeah, D as in dog. Yeah.
Okay, but which task is it? Which task do we talk about risks?
Yeah, it's in
So
the
we either accept or avoid or mitigate. Yeah. All of that are in risk management. And D, I didn't see it.
the task is
When we define our approaches for dealing with risks, which task is that?
Governance.
yeah,
It
the
is
governance.
governance. It's the only place that we do that. So you think transcend is not the answer, and you're correct. Transfer is a strategy, but not transcend. That's a made-up word for this situation. Defining an approach for how business analysis data will be stored and accessed represents the purpose of which task. How data will be stored and accessed? Kasi, you're going to tell me. Is it plan, business analysis, information management, data management process, governance, or approach?
Maybe A, information management.
Yeah.
Kasi says yes. Primary purpose of this task is to develop an approach on how business analysis information will be stored and accessed. Where are we going to keep it?
Yep.
Who can get to it? Which type of models can be used to define and document the business analysis approach? So models, and we know that we're in the approach task. Is it a process model, a scope model, a data model, or an object model? Can we eliminate any of those?
Maybe scope model. It sounds weird.
Does everybody agree with that?
The scope's not a model.
Yeah,
No.
not a model. Yeah.
Okay. So which one can we use to define and document our approach? Would
I
it
would
be a
say-
process, scope, data, or object?
Oh, I want to say a process
Maybe
model.
process model.
Process models can be used to define and document the business analysis approach. So look at this. This is not only in 3.1.6, but it's also talking about where it is back in the techniques chapter. 10.35. How many of y'all geek out on swim lane diagrams like I do? I adore swim lane diagrams. I think that they are things of beauty, and lines shouldn't cross if you can possibly avoid it.
Line shouldn't cross.
Lines shouldn't cross. And I will color code lines if they cross, like if they have to cross the boundaries, I will make that line red and bold so you can see, you know. I get OCD about it. It's crazy. But you know what? When people look at my swim lane diagrams, they know what's going on. They know what they're responsible for. They see the handoffs. We can talk about risks. It's great. Plan for requirements reuse is an element of which of the following tasks? Plan for requirements reuse? Is it the plan business analysis information management, plan traceability approach, plan business analysis planning and monitoring, or plan business analysis approach? What can we eliminate in there, guys?
B.
Yeah, the traceability.
Okay, that's not a task. What else is not a task?
The business analysis planning and monitoring.
That's a
Right.
knowledge area. It's not a task. Very
Yeah.
good. So requirements reuse, is that in information management or planning our
Yes.
approach?
Yeah, I would say
A.
A.
Information
Okay.
management.
Yep.
Reusing requirements can save an organization time, effort, and cost if they're easily accessible. Reusing requirements is a big deal according to the BABOK. It's the idea that you can write a requirement, say your organization creates websites for multiple companies because you do marketing. So you write a requirement about creating a menu, and you write it at a level that you could say, anytime we're going to create this kind of menu with this kind of drop downs, we can use the same set of requirements. That's requirements reuse. One of the things about requirements reuse is if you make it super specific, you know, the acceptance criteria says that here's the URL we're going to, or something like that. That part is not reusable. But the high level requirement, the actual user story is potentially reusable. So requirements reuse is a big deal in the BABOK. Another thing that's a big deal is traceability. Does everyone understand traceability? Okay, we're going to talk about it anyway, just in case somebody here did not want to shake your head. No. Okay, so traceability is you identify your business need, your business requirement. We need to XYZ. From that, you go on to what are the steps that we're going to take? Yeah,
Stakeholder requirement. Then solution
And you link
requirement,
them.
and then the design. Yeah, and you link them with
Yes.
each other.
And the tests. And
Yeah.
that way, whenever you do tests and you can say, what business requirement are we testing for? You have your traceability document that says here's this one and went to this one and went to this one and that went to this one. Or if you get halfway through a project and you discover something that needs to be eliminated, it's easy to go back and say, okay, this thing isn't going to work. What did it go back to? Or what is it going forward to? And it allows you to see your forward and your backward in your document. It can be very complicated if you have a large project. It almost requires somebody that has some expertise in it. And the document has to be maintained constantly. If it gets out of date, you're hurting yourself. So traceability is a big deal. Reusing requirements is a big deal. Let's submit our exam. Okay. If you were taking this test on your own today for this knowledge area, you would pass. We don't know the actual score that you have to hit for to pass a knowledge area, but we think it's about 72%. We know that watermark is harder than the actual test because it requires you to get down into what are the guidelines and tools? What is the input? Things like that, it's not conceptual, it's the rules, but we will start applying those rules to the concepts as we continue. Does everyone feel good about knowledge area 1, which is chapter 3? You feel good about it?
Very good.
Okay, so what I'd like to do is let's move to chapter 4. That means that you need to review. Let me pull this over. You need to read chapter 4 because the test questions are not in order of the different tasks. So you need to read all of chapter 4 for next week. If you can also go through and look at these techniques. So the techniques, they're in this document, they're accessible to you, but I'm going to read them off to you. Stakeholders, list, maps, and personas, concept modeling, data mining, data modeling, focus groups, interviews, mind mapping, process modeling, surveys and questionnaires, and collaborative games. Incidentally, next week at the TampaBayIIBA general meeting, we're going to be doing collaborative games. We're going to be doing them. We're not going to talk about what the BABOK says about them, but if you don't know what collaborative games are and reading it is really, it's like very dry. It doesn't show you what collaborative games are. We're going to be doing it with you next week. So let me go through that again. I noticed some of you are writing it down. I'm going to give you the numbers. So this is chapter 10, number 43, number 11, number 14, number 15, number 21, 25 is interviews, 29 is mind mapping, 35 is process modeling, 45 is survey or questionnaire, and 10 is collaborative games. Now I want to repeat one more time. I may repeat this more than that. Whenever I tell you to be sure that you look at those techniques, it does not mean that those are the only techniques in that task. These are the techniques that I feel are most applicable to that particular task of any other task in the entire BABOK. If you'll notice in conduct elicitation, there are a boatload of techniques here. If you want to read them all, you're welcome to. I mean, if you have that kind of bandwidth, go for it. But the ones that I gave you are the ones that I feel are most important for you to really grasp for, and as you imagine conducting elicitation. Okay. What kind of questions do we have?
Can you repeat the numbers again, please?
I'm happy to. So for chapter 4, these are the techniques I would suggest you go through. 43 is stakeholder list, map, and personas. 11 is concept modeling. 14 is data mining. 15 is data modeling. 21 is focus groups. 25 are interviews. 29 is mind mapping. 35 is process modeling. 45 is survey or questionnaire. And 10 is collaborative games.
Thank you.
So let's talk about data mining and data modeling in eliciting requirements. Some people are surprised that I put this in here because they kind of feel like this is what you do whenever you're documenting requirements. But in my experience, if I will start doing a process flow as they're telling me, first I do this, and then I do this, then I hand it off to this person. If I just start making a process flow, they're able to see that I'm paying attention, I'm listening to what they have to say, and I'm trying to understand. Then they look at what I have and they're able to say, oh, I forgot a step there, or you got that wrong. We need to, you need to say it this way, or here's a better way. I can get correction from them as we go, and we immediately get validation that I'm getting their requirements accurate. That's the reason that I put it in the elicitation. I have tried to do let me take notes and then I'll go back to my desk and try to turn it into a process map and, then come back to them. I discovered that I don't have as high of a degree of accuracy, and they don't have as much confidence in my process map if I do it that way. How many of y'all love process maps? Yeah, Sandy?
Sandy
All right.
does.
Okay. What is good about a process map for you, Sandy?
Just exactly what you said, the visual representation, walking them through. They're not gonna, first of all, my handwriting is terrible. So if I just take notes, me being able to read it later is difficult. So at least with the process map, it's a little bit more legible because I'm doing it for other people. But I've done it where I kind of knew a little bit about the process. So I drew the swim lanes on paper, wrote all the tasks I knew on Post-its, and then put them on there like, is this the order? And then we would move the Post-its around and then drew all the lines in. But I already had the swim lanes established, so it moved it along quicker. And plus, people are more engaged when you make them look at things and move Post-its around and stuff.
Yeah, they are more invested whenever it's them putting things into it. One of our collaborative games that we're going to do next week is we're going to talk about what are the steps of starting a load of clothes. And each one of us is going to put in, this is what we think the steps are. And then we're going to merge them together, everyone's, and discover some of us have the same things. Some of us don't have, some of us miss things. Like, I can't tell you what I think you're going to miss, because then if you come, you're not going to miss it. But anyway, we're going to talk about it. I want to also say that if you look at this list of techniques and go, I know that, I don't need to go read it. Please know that in stakeholder list, map, or personas, there is like 6 different things, 6 different techniques underneath it. They're grouped underneath it. In data modeling, there's several different things that's grouped underneath that. So don't assume that just because you know that title, that you understand all the things that are beneath it, especially because there's going to be questions that say, what is this? Which technique is this nested under? Things like that. So you need to know. And whenever you're looking at techniques, pay attention to the purpose of the technique. Pay attention to its strengths and weaknesses beyond how to do it. Because it's going to ask, which of these techniques is the best to use for this thing? Or which of these techniques do you avoid in this situation? So you need to know strengths and weaknesses and purpose. Okay. Do you want to? We have about 20 minutes and I haven't let y'all have a break. Would you rather have a break? Or would you rather let's do some more questions on chapter 3?
Let's do some more questions on chapter 3.
Awesome.
I'm speaking for the group.
Nobody spoke up, so you get to make the rules. Okay. So we are going to select exam. We're going to do a drill, business analysis, planning, and monitoring. We won't get through all 25 questions, but we can still figure out what we're doing. The task of business analysis, planning, and monitoring, or BAPM, include which of the following? I'm going to read them all. You ready? Plan business analysis approach, plan stakeholder engagement, plan business analysis governance, plan business analysis information management. Did y'all catch that there's only 4 in that list? We know there's 5. We know we can eliminate that. Okay. Plan business analysis approach, plan stakeholder engagement, plan business analysis governance, plan business analysis information management, identify business analysis performance improvements. Next one. Plan business analysis approach, plan stakeholder engagement, plan requirements management process, plan business analysis information management, identify business analysis performance improvements. And the last one, plan business analysis approach, plan stakeholder engagement, plan business analysis governance, plan business analysis communication, identify business analysis performance improvements. Which one is wrong? Can we eliminate any others?
Maybe C.
Yeah.
Eliminate Charlie.
What's wrong in C?
Plan requirements management process.
That's not in that knowledge area, is it?
No.
Good eye. Okay. A and C are now eliminated.
Mhm. So maybe the right answer is B.
Yeah.
No,
Bravo.
it's-
Okay, we like
the-
B. So what's wrong with D?
Communication.
Yeah.
Communication. Yeah.
Very good. These are the 5 tasks listed in the BAPM knowledge area. Slowing down enough to do the analysis is challenging on the test because you feel the stress of, I got to go fast. You got to be methodical. You got to be just very, cold and methodical on the test.
Mhm.
Why is it important for the BA to identify and understand stakeholders' attitudes toward a project according to the BABOK? So stakeholders' attitudes is stakeholder engagement, plan stakeholder engagement.
Yes.
To categorize stakeholders in the power interest grid, to understand stakeholder needs and specify, specifically plan how to collaborate and engage with the stakeholders, to know how stakeholders will contribute to an initiative, or to know if your stakeholders are for or against the initiative.
B. The right answer is B. Bravo.
Got one vote for B.
I second that.
Yeah.
2 votes for
Yeah.
B. Let's go. Additionally, understanding a stakeholder's attitude helps the BA understand what may impact the stakeholders' actions. So, you understand their needs and how to and plan how to collaborate and engage with them, and then figure out how what may impact their actions. This specifically is talking not only, but it strongly talks about stakeholders that are against your project. And so figuring out, they don't want to get the new system because their whole team is used to the old system. Okay. If you can find out why they don't like it, you can help them see what's beneficial to them to maybe counteract that. Did I mention a force field analysis to you the other day? A force field analysis is literally you put a bar up in the middle of the page and you say, who's for our project? And you put all their names on this side. And then on the other side, you say, who's against our project? And you put all the other names over here. So the people that are against, you say, okay, so why is Bob not wanting this to go through? And y'all talk about it. And this is the core team, and you do it privately and you don't document this anywhere else. But it gives you an opportunity to visually say, what can we do to help move these people from this side to this side? And it gives, you can plan a strategy, Marcy, you've got a really good relationship with him and you know that this is what he thinks, but you also know this is incorrect and this is true. Would you have lunch with him and talk through it, or however you need to negotiate and get the correct information to those people? There are people that you're not going to get on your side. Sometimes that's just the way it is. But knowing what their concerns are, their fears, their needs will help you work with them better and help them work with you because of that. While carrying out the Identify Business Analysis Performance Improvements task, which of the following are some possible assessment measures? So we're talking about assessment measures. We know what the task is. Accuracy and completeness, knowledge, efficiency, organizational support, significance, strategic, and timeliness. Accuracy and completeness, knowledge, efficiency, effectiveness, organizational support, significance, strategic, stability. Accuracy and completeness, knowledge, effectiveness, organizational support, significance, and strategic and timeliness, or accuracy and completeness, knowledge, effectiveness, organizational standards, significance, and strategic and timeliness. What can we eliminate?
B, eliminate.
Did you say
Just this-
D?
B, bravo.
B
B
as
is
in
in
boy.
Bravo. Okay,
Mm,
and we can
Bravo.
eliminate that because,
Stability.
right, that's not one of them.
Say D because standards isn't a measure.
Nope, standards isn't
The
either in
delta,
D.
D delta.
Right, so B and D are both eliminated.
Mhm.
A is eliminated because efficiency isn't part of that either.
Say it again, Michelle.
A, I would eliminate because efficiency isn't part of that either.
Okay, that leaves
So
us
it's
C.
C.
Okay. These are the stated qualitative and quantitative measures. Look at y'all. Y'all are so good. That is 3.5.4.2, Arena. You have been hired as a senior business analyst on a project that will span 3 years. You discovered that solution definitions have been defined and tasks are performed in specific phases. What approach is the project using? Is it Agile, Extreme Programming, Waterfall, or Scrum?
Waterfall.
Waterfall, yeah.
Yeah,
3
it's
years.
waterfall. Yep.
Yeah, specific.
And it's specific.
phase.
In
It
specific
is.
phases, yeah.
Waterfall is a predictive approach where tasks are performed in specific phases. Even though the word waterfall is not in the BABOK, this is the best answer given the choices. In some cases, you'll have to apply the process of elimination to arrive at the best answer. So extreme programming, I'm not sure it's in the BABOK, and I'm pretty sure the word Scrum is not in there, even though some of the Agile talk kind of refers or infers Scrum, but waterfall is the best answer for this question. Which guidelines or tools would help in defining the limits within which decisions must be made? So defining the limits in which decisions must be made, which task is that?
Governance.
Governance?
Governance is where you decide how decisions are going to be made and by whom. So we're looking at the governance task and the guidelines and tools for the governance task. Is it business policies, legal and regulatory information, current state description, or business analysis performance assessment? What can we eliminate?
D, Charlie, eliminate. Current state description.
Current state description.
Current state description is not a guideline and tool. It's usually an input, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mhm.
I think we can eliminate D.
Why do we eliminate D?
So it's a performance
I think
testing.
it's more about performance, and this is more about the deciding when decisions should be made or the boundaries of.
So this is not going to be a guideline and tool. It might be, I mean, we know it's an input into everything, but it's not a guideline and tool. So we have legal and regulatory information or business policies.
I would say A, but
A.
aren't they all listed as a guideline or tool?
They may all be listed. Well, I'll double check. In governance. So here's our task. Guidelines and tools. I'm sorry, that's elements. Guidelines and tools right here. Business analysis performance assessment, business policies, current state description, legal and regulatory information.
Mm.
But which one is going to help you defining the limits in which decisions must be made?
I would say A. I just thought you said they wanted some of them weren't.
I did misstate that. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you for
As long as
calling.
I'm paying attention, I'm good. You're fine.
You're doing great, Michelle. I gotta say things wrong more often to see if you're paying. No, I'm not going to do that to you. Limits may be described by regulators, contractors, agreements, warranties, certifications, or other legal obligations. So this is the limits it's talking about.
Can
Finding
you
the
please?
limits.
You must have it completed by this date. It has to achieve this rate. Those things, those are the limits it's talking about.
But that definition doesn't say policies. It says the regulations and legal
Which
obligations. So
guideline?
wouldn't that be B?
This
I
is going to be a
click on
subset of this.
Can you click on B?
This has regulations, contracts, agreements, warranties, certifications, and other legal obligations. Your business policies are going to include if you're going to follow the regulations. Here's an example. I worked at Quest Diagnostics. We had to rewrite the laboratory management system. And the reason was because at that time, the laboratory's process, their process that they had endorsed with business policies was everything that comes through is going to get these 3 tests. And then if they need other tests, we'll do it. But almost everything needs these 3 tests. And so I'm not going to say this right, for efficiency, because almost everything needed those 3 tests, it was easier just to cycle them through. Well, regulations came down that said by this date in 2 months, if you give tests to specimens that they didn't order it, you're breaking the law and there will be a fine. So it was cheaper for us to rewrite everything than face the fine. But there were other situations where it was cheaper to take the fine than rewrite everything. So the business policy is going to dictate which regulations we will follow or which ones we won't.
And now that I look at it, that's the exact definition in the book for business policies.
Well, I'm so glad that I was able to pull that out. I feel like I'm victorious. A business analyst is in the initial phase of an IT change initiative at a bank. As part of the business analysis planning process, so we know what task we're in, the analyst is planning for stakeholder engagement. Okay, now we're in stakeholder engagement. Under what conditions should the business analyst consider revising the stakeholder collaboration plan and updating it as needed? So we're talking conditions. When there's a change in organizational structure that impacts the stakeholders, all of the options, when a new stakeholder is identified, or if the importance of a stakeholder is changed, or at the start of a new phase in the project. Several of these sound right, but only one of these is what the BABOK says.
Yeah, for me, all of them sound nice. So I will take the risk of choosing B.
I hear what you're saying, but that's not what the BABOK says.
Right. I would say C.
C.
Okay,
Mm.
let's test C.
Ah,
I'm so sorry.
that's right. They
In the
do
real
sound all
test,
right.
In the real test, there is not one time you're going to get all of the options or none of the above. And it never, ever, ever, ever says that. Okay.
Okay.
I see.
So
You're gonna
that's
come
why
to the
I'm
truth.
partially correct. Yes.
Yes. So as factors change, stakeholder collaboration plan can be revisited, and adjustments and adaptations can be made to ensure ongoing engagement of stakeholders. So sorry, I was thinking of the real test. This is all of the options are correct. Classy, you're teaching this class next week.
No, no.
Okay. Vasavi has been contracted as the lead business analyst on a new initiative. She wants to create an internal stakeholder list. What would be a good starting point? She's creating an internal stakeholder list. So what task is it?
Plan stakeholder engagement.
Plan
Yes.
stakeholder engagement. So a good starting point would be existing business processes, governing bodies that may influence the project management office, or existing vendor or supplier contracts that may be in place. The BABOK has a sentence that a good source for internal stakeholders would be
A.
I would say A
Existing
as
business
well.
processes. Yes, I'd say A.
Okay, let's test it. Business processes and companies' organizational charts are cited as initial sources for identifying internal stakeholders. Very good. You're a business analyst working on a data strategy effort for your organization. You want to minimize your upfront uncertainty and maximize your control over the business analysis activities on the effort. What business analysis approach would best fit this effort? So we're trying to figure out what our approach is. Would it be the predictive approach, adaptive approach, analytical approach, or change-driven approach?
A.
A,
Predictive
predictive.
approach. It's
Which
waterfall.
is very similar, much the same as waterfall. Most of the BA work occurs at the beginning of the effort to ensure the solution is defined before implementation begins. Which of the following sets represent key concepts that are needed to understand how to effectively perform the planned business analysis governance task? So we need key concepts. Is that the same thing as guidelines? I don't know. Let's think about it. Performance analysis, change control process, plan prioritization approach, plan for approvals. Decision making, change control process, plan prioritization approach, level of abstraction, plan for approvals. Organization of business analysis information, change control process, plan prioritization approach, plan for approvals. Or decision making, change control process, plan prioritization approach, and plan for approvals. Sorry, I grabbed the wrong one. There we go.
Are key concepts the same as elements?
So I was
Yeah.
wondering.
It kind of looks like it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not in the same order as our elements, but it looks like it's the same as elements.
I think it's D.
D is in dog.
Sorry, D is, yeah, D is a dog.
Decision making, change control process, plan prioritization, and plan for approvals. Let's test it. These are the stated elements of the plan business analysis governance task. So key concepts and elements are the same thing.
Okay.
Elements included in the Identify Business Analysis Performance Improvements task include which of the following? So the next task, 2 tasks down. Performance analysis, assessment measures, variance analysis, recommended actions for improvement. Performance analysis, assessment measures, analyze results, recommended actions for improvement. Performance reporting, assessment measures, analyze results, recommended actions for improvement. Performance reporting, assessment measures, variance analysis, recommended actions for improvement. Can we eliminate any?
CD, eliminate.
Eliminate D.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's variance is not it.
And you said C
CD.
also, Irina?
Yeah, but I'm looking at performance reporting versus performance analysis. So
Right.
yeah, that's my
That's
reason.
not right.
So performance analysis we like. Assessment measures is the same. This is
Yeah.
variance analysis. This is analyze results.
I would say B as in boy.
B, yeah.
This is a comprehensive list of the elements included in the Identify Business Analysis Performance Improvements task. Okay, which of the following lists represents inputs required in the task charged with developing an approach for how business artifacts will be stored, accessed, or shared? So which task is this?
That's gonna be your
Information.
information management.
Information management. So we want to know the inputs to information management task. Is it governance approach, stakeholder engagement approach, business analysis approach, requirements validated, performance objectives external, governance approach, stakeholder engagement approach, business analysis approach, governance approach, stakeholder engagement approach, needs business analysis approach, or governance approach, stakeholder engagement approach, and business analysis approach. What can we eliminate?
A.
B.
Why do we eliminate
Yes.
B?
Why eliminate A? Because it's requirements validated. It looks weird.
Right.
to me.
That's not in
Yeah.
there.
No.
Okay. How about performance objectives
Uh,
external?
Yeah,
Is that
external.
you
Yeah.
can-
Oh,
we can
You can eliminate that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
yeah. Mhm.
So this has stakeholder engagement approach. That one has it. This one has governance approach. So business analysis approach. This one has needs. That's the only
Yeah.
difference. Is
Needs.
needs
Right.
in there?
No.
No, it's not in there.
No.
Mm-mm.
That means it's got to be D. These are the 3 stated inputs for the planned business analysis information management task. Okay, so if we submit our exam and view the results, unanswered 14, we got 10 correct and we answered 10. That's 100%, guys.
Good. Good job, everyone. Good job,
think-
everyone.
I think we're
Yeah.
getting better. Now, I'm not saying that you mastered chapter 3, but you're doing really, really well. Honestly, it's your reasoning, you're walking through the steps of getting to the answer and figuring out which task you're on, which things you can eliminate, and which one is the best answer according to the BABOK. That is the key. You do have to know what the BABOK says, though, to be able to do that. So please keep learning. We'll start on chapter 4 next week. What my plan is this. We're going to start chapter 4 and only focus on chapter 4 next week. Then we're
Okay.
going to have chapter 4 for a couple of weeks until we get it like under our belt, mostly. Then we're going to go to chapter 5. Chapter 5, I think, is life cycle management. Let me double check. Requirements life cycle management. It's a
Yep.
little bit harder. It's like the next step harder. Then after that one, we're going to spend probably 2 more weeks on that than we have on chapter 3, and we'll on chapter 4. We'll spend some time on that. Then we're going to go to strategy analysis. Strategy analysis, chapter 6, 7, and 8 are the 3 hardest knowledge areas. So we're going to keep building as we go. After we get through 8, we're going to layer all of them on top of each other, and we're going to see how we do. And then we're going to take some off. It's like, we're doing fine on those. We need to focus on these. We're going to, as we start each class, we're going to say, which knowledge areas do you want to focus on, and see how we're doing. And we're going to continue to just get better and better as we work through. My goal is whenever we get to close to the end, we're going through all the knowledge areas and we're identifying which knowledge area, which task, which things can be eliminated, which one is the right answer according to the BABOK, and then going on. It is a slog. I told you it was from the beginning, but I'm confident that you can do this. And we're going to do it together. I'm going to be here every single Thursday night with you. Those of you who are getting tired this late at night, I am so sorry. I am doing my lessons learned thinking maybe I shouldn't do this to y'all again for the next class. But this is what we have right now. So we're going to keep going, and I'm up with you. So read chapter 4. If you have anything in chapter 3 that really feels like a gap in your knowledge, focus on it. Go ahead and get it into your head. Get chapter 4, go through the techniques, and come back on next Thursday. Expect that as we start a new chapter, you're not going to do as good on the beginning of chapter 4 as you're doing on the end of chapter 3, right? So
Right.
don't beat yourself up for that. Set proper expectations. We're going to hit chapter 4. We're going to find our gaps. We're going to fill our gaps. We're going to move forward. Okay? I do expect that you're going to be receiving your books this week. I'm going to contact him and say, what's the deal? So I'll work on that for you. All right.
Okay.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
See you later.
Thank you so
Have a
much.
good week.
Thank
Good
you,
night.
everyone. Have a good
Bye.
night.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
You too. Bye.